Hi, we're live here on our episode 8 of the main pod with my co-host here, Julian, and our special guest today. We have Mariah here, and I am excited to have her here on our podcast. She is over at Remax Top Producers, and we want her to share with us her experience, tell us about you, introduce yourself. People want to know who you are, what you do.
Okay, yes. So I'm gonna put on these headphones because I can't hear.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Why is it doing that, Jason?
I know. Sorry, it's like an echo.
A little technical difficulty.
Anyways,
So back to my question, Mariah.
Yes.
We want to know about yourself. What do you do? How did you start in real estate? Let's start there.
Okay, I started in real estate at the age of 22 years old.
Wow.
I started after working a sales job. It was my first job ever working in corporate sales, and I ended up doing really well to my surprise because it was my first job. I had zero sales experience prior, and I ended up being the number one salesperson out of the entire district, which was about 100 people out of the entire district
Oh,
at
wow.
18 years old. And so I told myself, well, I think I found my natural gift and talent here, building relationships with people, helping people come to a conclusion and create solutions for them. And so I told myself, well, I don't want to be at this corporate sales job for the rest of my life, but what can I do where I'm still working in sales? I'm still doing what I love. I'm still building relationships with people, but I can make a full-time career out of it. So I decided when I was 21 that I'm going to start studying for my real estate license and that I wanted to work full-time in real estate. So by the time I turned 22, I had my license. I left my 9 to 5, and then I just right into real estate full time, which was a pretty big risk because I didn't have I only saved like 10 for my prior job, but it ended up working out.
ground running.
Yeah. I sold my first house within like the first 3 months.
That's awesome.
Luckily, just by posting a lot, like on Facebook, open houses, new listings, even if they weren't mine, I would just post a bunch of photos. And I had someone reach out and say, like, "Oh, that's a nice house." It was like, where was it? He was in Montana. And I was like, "Oh yeah, do you want to see it?" He's like, "Sure." He didn't end up liking it, but I showed him 5 others, and he liked one of the others, and that's how I got into my first escrow.
That's cool. So when you
Yeah.
first started real estate, were you doing mainly out in the Inland Empire, or where did you start? Like in what city, what area? Were you primarily at?
I was everywhere and anywhere anyone wanted to buy a home. I was willing to drive there.
Right.
So my first one was in Fontana, and then my second one was in Long Beach.
Oh wow, big difference.
Yeah, big difference. Yeah. So it was kind of everywhere. I would say mostly like Los Angeles County and San Bernardino, Riverside County.
Nice.
Mhm.
So from starting real estate, I want to go into kind of the current stuff now because I know the market has changed tremendously, obviously, from when you started and what it is now. I know you did a lot of residential, and then now you currently do primarily taking out residential or commercial, correct?
Yes.
How did that transition happen? Because we know, or I know about commercials. How about you?
I don't know anything.
Yeah, can you talk to us about that? Like, I
Yeah.
really want to I want to get educated.
Sure. No, 100%.
How long did you do
So-
residential before you did anything kind of commercial wise?
I would say about like 2 years. I got my first commercial opportunity about 2 years into doing
Okay.
residential. So someone came to me. It was a woman. She had a daycare. She was like, "Can you help me find a location with my daycare?" I told her I don't do commercial, but I'm more than happy to help you. Like it's my first time. And she said, "Yeah, no problem. Like I like you. I hear great things about you on the residential side. Like I'm more than happy to be patient and work with you and your team." So I ended up helping her, and that went well. And then from there, I got another referral, which was a completely different business. It was a gym, and they were like, "Can you help us? Will you represent our gym?" Give me a DM. And I and I said, "Yeah, of course." They said, "Have you ever helped the gym before?" And I said, "No, but I can. I'm sure it's not that difficult. I can help you."
Right.
I'm more of a yes girl. Like yes, and I will
You'll
figure out
figure
the
it out.
answer later.
Right.
Come along. Yeah.
Okay, problem solver. You'll
So-
figure it out.
Yes. So I ended up helping this one gym. This was like maybe 5, 6 years ago. And then after I helped that gym owner just told all of his friends and colleagues about me. And since then, I've helped over, I want to say like 30, 35 gyms.
Wow.
Wow.
It's like your
A
niche.
lot of gyms.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've helped many different types of business owners, but primarily gyms.
Do you get free memberships for those ones?
You know what?
I'd be like, hook me up if I'm
A couple of them have offered me, yes, but I feel like I don't want to be biased, or I don't know. I don't want some of my clients to be like, why don't you
Right.
come to my gym and not this person's and not mine? So I don't go to any of my clients' gyms, actually, unless I'm just going to say hello,
Right.
but I don't work out there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty cool, because I do see I'm glad you mentioned that you do a lot of gyms, or you have been, a lot of your business have been, based on word of mouth.
Yes.
That's the best exposure is that referral exposure,
Yes, a lot
so
of word of mouth, and then I feel like it helps a lot too. Once you help your client and you close the deal to do a video, like a testimonial video with your clients.
Mhm.
So
That
do you
helps a lot.
primarily get your referrals, or when you started, you said when the woman approached you about the daycare and then you did the gym after,
Mhm.
are now all your, besides referrals, are they mainly social media now that you're getting a lot of business from?
Yes. Yeah, it's either referrals or social media. Yeah, anytime you do a video, like, if you have a business
Right.
account, you can see how many people shared it to their friends. So I'm able to look at the insights and see like how well the video is doing. That's mostly how I get my business from like the shares of the videos.
Okay, I like that, because I do see you posting a lot. I do see a lot of your testimonial videos for sure. So for me, I'm always looking at you like, "Yeah, this girl's getting it hard at the gym. She, she's getting all this business, which is great." Are you ever gonna open one for yourself?
A
Because
gym?
you're fit. I see you working out all the time.
I love working
Thought about
out.
that?
I'm really passionate about fitness, health. I think it's really important to stay in shape, not just because of the way that you look when you're appearance, but for longevity purposes, like the lifestyle and the quality of your life. Because we only have one life and we only have one body. And I can't, it's my body, right? You can't change it how much I want your help or whatnot. Like, only
Right.
I can change my body. I'm in charge of the way it looks, how I feel. And I want to be alive for a long time when I'm a grandma. I want to like run around with my grandkids,
Be alive and healthy.
alive and healthy, and have a great life. I want to
Yeah.
take my grandbaby, put her on my back, and be able to hike up a mountain. Like that's how I see myself. Like,
So again, we're probably gonna see Mariah opening up a gym. I'm gonna root for that.
maybe it depends. I know a lot with the gym owners. The most successful ones are the ones that are owner operators and the ones that are usually involved. And
Mhm.
they're there almost every single day, and they're great salespeople as well. So if I was gonna have a gym, I'd have to be there. Given with my how busy I am with my business and my lifestyle, I don't think I'd be able to be present at that gym. It's probably not gonna happen, but I do wanna purchase a franchise. I do wanna
Mhm.
own several businesses, but probably not
A
a
gym.
gym. No. Maybe like an acai bowl place,
Ooh,
or maybe like a
okay.
restaurant or a
What place?
coffee place. Acai bowl?
Well,
Acai
acai bowl.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Am
I'm
I
like
pronouncing it wrong?
Yeah.
Well, how do you say
People,
it?
people say, I hear people
I
say
don't know.
acai bowls, or I don't know.
Acai.
Say
Like
acai
the
too.
bowl is pronounced.
I knew
it's
what you
like,
meant.
Yes.
I never go there, so it probably doesn't.
Well, I would definitely support. Piggybacking on what you said about the commercials, are there different types? Can you kind of educate us on that? Like, I want to know. I'm sure you want to
Time.
know.
If
Yeah.
I wanted to get into
Yes.
commercial,
Uh-huh.
like if some agents like they're doing residential, but they're like, you know what, I want to get into commercial. What would you recommend would be their first step to do anything like that?
I would recommend step one, familiarize yourself with the language of commercial real estate language and the verbiage that we use because it's completely different. So if you've never done it before, it really might sound like another language, Chinese to you. Like it could be confusing. So I would first get familiar with it. You can do that by going on YouTube, watching videos about commercial real estate. There aren't a ton of videos on YouTube like there are with residential. There's tons, endless. They're not a ton, but there are a couple that are really, really good. Which I can give you guys the links after if you want to put it down below. But I would go ahead and learn a little bit about that online. And then there's also classes take with it's called AIR. It's commercial firm. You can take your class at AIR just to get some background. And then once you have a little bit of knowledge with it, then I would reach out to an agent and then maybe shadow them for a little bit on one of their deals. Shadow them.
So the commercial deals that you do, are they mostly leases? Or are you doing like buildings and land, like the
I'm doing it all.
all of it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All of the above.
How different is, because your first one was a daycare. Did she buy it or she leased it?
She leased it.
So how different is a lease from the actual purchase of the real estate itself?
It's completely different. It depends on how you're looking at it. I mean, of course, if you are looking at it from an agent's perspective, like how we're going to do business, it's still the commission's still great. This is what I'm trying to say. For a lease.
If I can help somebody with a lease or a rental, it's not exciting financially.
Right.
But, it's part of the business. You help your clients. But on the commercial side, it is better.
It is much, much better. Yeah, because if you think about it, you're going to get paid the commission for the entire term. So let's say the term's usually like 5, 7, or 10 years. And then let's just say the rent amount's like 10 grand. So and the most common commission split is more like 3% for the tenant side.
Of the entire thing.
Yeah. Yes. Of the entire duration of the term. Yeah. So like let's say it's 10 grand a month and you do a 5-year term.
It's like 6 grand or 600,000.
Yeah, that's 600,000. So 3% of 600,000. What is that? It's like 17 grand.
Yeah, so it'd be like selling a house.
Yeah, exactly. It's like selling a house, but you're building.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I feel like there's way more opportunity there too, because there's so many business owners. There's so many business owners who are needing to like relocate, or maybe they want to open another location. So I feel like there's more people who are qualified business owners that would need our help versus maybe someone looking to purchase or sell. So,
do you think that obviously, as on the residential side, it's very competitive. There's a lot of agents. Do you feel like that same amount of people, like competition on the commercial side, or is it a little less?
I would say it depends. It depends because there are a lot of agents, right, on both sides. But because I have my niche and because I'm a young woman, it really makes me stand out when it comes to like the competition. So I would say it's helpful. I would say if you're able to stand out or you have a specialty, maybe you help out restaurant owners, help out a ton of restaurant owners.
Or gyms.
Or maybe you help out gyms. Yeah. You can have your niche or specialty where there's not as many people who do exactly what you do.
Yeah. Like residential, like where you're picking, like people that are downsizing or upsizing families. Like that's your focus or whatever.
Expires or whatever.
Or FISBOs.
You find your niche, like you said. So with those commercials that you do, are there? Because you said some are bought, some are leased. Like, how does that structure work? Are there different types of structures that go into it when the lease terms happen?
There are, there's different types of leases. So if you're in a retail space, which we are not right now, we're in an office space, but you're in a retail space, kind of like a shopping center, and the most common type of lease is called a triple net lease. And that's when the tenant is responsible for paying the owner's property taxes, their common area maintenance fees, and the owner's insurance as well.
Okay.
So as a tenant, you're paying to take care of the owner's building. Unlike residential, when you're leasing your place where you live, the owner takes care of your plumbing. If that goes wrong, they come to save the day.
Yeah, if you're a net lease tenant, is that a better thing to have versus just paying the rent space and then having their owner responsible for taking care of everything? Because what if they're paying the money and they're not maintaining the facility, but you're paying it and the money doesn't make a difference?
It depends on how you look at it. I mean, I always, on a triple net lease, everything's negotiable. So I can have a triple net lease and say, my tenant doesn't want to be responsible for the HVAC. So we agreed to all the other terms, but my tenant doesn't want to be responsible for the HVAC for 5 years. And so we can have a clause in there that says that. So it's really custom detailed for the tenant. And it's not a one size fits all. It's not the same every single time. But most commonly, a triple net lease, the tenant is responsible for almost everything,
Yeah.
unless we say not. But most landlords won't agree to it.
Yeah.
So it really just depends.
I got my first taste of it. I went and looked at a building with somebody, and it had no air conditioner.
Mhm.
And he's like, "Yeah, you can put the air conditioner there. Like, that's your responsibility to put the air in." I'm like, "It's your freaking building. Like, we're gonna put the air in, like, you're freaking high." But
Uh-huh.
that's what part of that is, I guess. You
So
make the space your own, like, whatever you
yeah,
gotta
you can
do.
make the space your own. It is common for a landlord to provide the HVAC, so
I
he
would think so.
should, or he can give you an allowance. He can say, okay, here's 20, 30 grand, you do it.
Yeah.
You just go do it, don't bother me.
Yeah.
That's kind of how most landlords like
Yeah.
to work.
Yeah.
That'd be the easiest way, right? I don't want to deal with it. Just take it.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's and this I was talking to another person that was in the commercial space one time, and he was saying that um, in, if you get the lease signed, let's say you were to bring in Stater Brothers into a shopping center or whatever, and it's a 10-year lease. When they renew, if they renew, you get paid again.
You can, yes. Yeah, if you have that in the lease, you can get paid again once they renew.
Oh, nice.
On whatever that commission or whatever that
Yes.
lease is.
Mhm.
So do the lifelong.
Yeah, that's
agent.
another. That's another
pretty,
thing.
that's a big bonus
It's
on
a huge
there.
bonus.
It is
Yeah.
a nice bonus. That's
Yeah.
another thing.
Because that commission almost like if it was like a big place like Stater Brothers or Sprouts, and you were able to broker that deal and get them into a space, that's $1 million commission for 10 years probably or something around
Yeah.
that. And then in 10 years, they're an anchor store. They're not going to go anywhere. They're going to re-up that lease. You're going to get another $1 million. You didn't do anything at that point.
That's true. But that's another great point that you bring up is that it actually does take a long time to get paid in commercial real estate. It does.
What's the average?
So,
what would you say?
It's negotiable as well.
Okay.
When
So why does it take a while?
Yeah.
It takes a while because the landlord isn't going to pay you all of your commission up front. So once you sign the deal, the landlord will give you commission. Most oftentimes how it works is they'll give you half your commission when you sign, and then the other half once the tenant opens for business or once they start paying rent. So it depends. So let's say I negotiate 8 months of free rent for my client, which most oftentimes I negotiate 6,
Smart.
8,
Yeah.
12 months.
To get started.
But I'm not going to get paid until 8 months later. The other half of the commission. I don't care. I'm helping so many people, and I just always look out for the best interest of my clients.
Right.
So that doesn't matter to me. But I'm getting paid next year from deals I did this year, and then this year I got paid a lot of commission from deals I did last year. So it has its pros and cons.
So open up your mailbox. You're like,
I know.
Oh my gosh, this is
I know.
Nice little passive income right there.
You have to write it down and keep track because you could forget.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot I did this deal
Like this.
a year ago.
yeah, where's my money?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So should we be called back? The landlord, I'm waiting.
It's been too long.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, definitely. That's a great way to earn that pass. Oh, you know what? I'm thinking about doing commercial now. Get that extra. When you're doing these commercials and you're negotiating these contracts and stuff, are there specific things you find, kind of like a home inspection? Are there specific things you're looking at too for your client? Like, how does that work? I'm kind of curious on that end.
Yeah. So once we get the contract, there's different types of lease contracts. So there's a form called AIR. It's the most standard type of form that a landlord can use, where it's in favor of the landlord and the tenant. It's still more in favor towards the landlord, just because we're in California,
Right.
but at least it does give some leeway for the tenant as well. And then there's other lease contracts where the landlord's attorney will be the one drafting the lease on behalf of the landlord, and it's totally in favor of the landlord and not the tenant at all.
Oh.
So whenever the attorney is drafting the lease for the landlord, I'm always having to read a new lease that I've never seen before. It looks different every single time because it's a different attorney every single time, and it's long. It's like 40, sometimes 60 pages long. So I'm reading it. And when I was little, I wanted to be an attorney. I actually really enjoy the law.
Really?
Yeah. So I love legal aspects. So I'm reading it, I'm reading through it, and then I go and we do what's called a red line. So it's where we make revisions, comments on the lease that we don't want, or we want to change the verbiage here. Here's what we want it to say. And I put it in red. So I'll either do that on the lease or maybe I'll do it in the email. And then I'll also let my client know, like, hey, I recommend that you have your own attorney read through this lease as well and give you any advice or comments, and your attorney and I can work together to revise this. Yeah. Mhm.
How often when you're, like, doing the red line portion of it and you're picking out all the things that they have a problem with, like, is the business owner, tenant, um, is it do they understand what they're reading, or is it
No,
like
no, a lot of times they don't. I mean, unless that's a field that is interesting to them, or maybe if they have multiple locations, maybe they understand what they're reading. But a lot of times it's their first time, or they're not really well versed with contracts. Like, how
Mhm.
often do people read contracts aside from us? So a lot of times they don't understand what they're reading. So I get on a call with them and I go over the most important terms on the lease agreement that I feel they should know about, that I also feel like maybe we should change or revise. And then I'll read it out loud exactly how it is, and I'll read it in layman's terms, and I'll read it in English in my own way, so I
Right.
know, like, okay, they understand what this is saying. Yeah,
Yeah.
because some landlords, attorneys, some of them don't want you to understand
Yeah,
what it's
that's what I was
saying,
saying,
or
like, I could just imagine they making it sound like Chinese
yeah.
or some other foreign alien language so that you don't know what it's saying for the most
Yes.
part. It's hard.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
Yeah.
important.
So are you do most of the time you find yourself working with a lot of attorneys on these contracts
Yeah.
versus not?
Yeah, I always recommend to my clients that they have their attorney read through the lease as well,
Got
even
it.
if it's a simple lease. It's always better to be safe than sorry and to have a third pair of eyes on the lease agreement and have someone else reading it than not, you know?
Yeah, no, definitely. So in these commercials that you or the commercial residential leases that you do as well, how are you getting aside from the referral? Like, how does it work from point A to the ending of it? When you pick up a commercial lease, do you put it on the like as real estate? Do you put it up on the MLS? Like, how does
Mhm.
that work?
You
When
can put it on the
get
MLS.
exposure?
I put it on, it's called CoStar.
Okay.
So CoStar is like the commercial MLS.
Okay.
You do have to pay for it.
Do
It's
you pay
pretty
for
expensive.
yours or does your
Yes,
broker pay for it?
I pay for it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
It's a
my.
lot,
It
I've heard.
depends.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give
It's
you a range. It could be from like 300 a month to like 600 a month. So usually like the average membership cost. So yeah, I pay for it and then I put it there because I know that anyone who's on CoStar, any brokers, it's for brokers only or agents. It's
Got
not
it.
for consumers. So any agents who are on there, they're looking for their clients. So it's worth it too. It's
Mhm.
okay for them to put it on there. And then sometimes they even have like off market deals or deals that are not on online that your clients can't see. So if I bring it to them, it's going to be really helpful for my client because they've never seen it before. It's nowhere to be found online. And they're like, "Oh, cool, this is really helpful. This is awesome."
Yeah.
So a lot of times I do find the best deals on CoStar, and it's usually a location that we move forward with coming from CoStar.
Mhm. Do you sell, businesses too?
I have, yes. Yeah, I have sold a couple businesses, mostly restaurants.
Mm.
Yeah, I just closed one actually yesterday for a
Congratulations.
restaurant. Thank
The
you.
business and the real estate or just business
Just a
in the
business.
lease
You
that
can
it's
do
in?
both. You
Yeah.
can do either or.
Yeah.
But I primarily have sold just the businesses.
How different is that, the business itself, like selling the business?
It depends. I would say that it is beneficial if you're a restaurant owner. It can work better at your benefit. The only reason why someone would be purchasing a business is if it was a profitable business, A,
Mhm.
right? Or B, if they wanted the exact layout of that commercial location and they wanted all the equipment and the inventory, maybe the clientele that came with that business for sale. A lot of times that's the case for restaurant owners. And a lot of times the restaurants that are for sale are really inexpensive. You can find one for anywhere between like 100,000 to 200,000, 300,000, which is pretty affordable.
Mhm.
And you get this miraculous and beautiful location.
Mhm.
So a lot of times the restaurant owners are buying it so they can have all of the inventory equipment, kitchen equipment, things
Yeah.
that are really expensive to shorten their time of build out.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that
Mhm.
makes sense. So if you could obviously, if you buy a restaurant, you want it already set up, so you don't
Yeah.
have to
It'd be
tear down
beneficial,
and
yeah,
yeah.
'cause it's a lot of work.
Yeah. So dumbing this down for me just so it makes sense for me. So when you're selling the business and the real estate itself, it's 2 separate or it can be combined into one?
It can be combined to one.
Okay.
Yeah, but it depends on how they market it. You'll know when you're looking at like, whatever you're looking at on the website. When it's for sale, it'll say real estate is for sale at 500,000, business is for sale at 200,000, and you can combine them, or it's just a business for sale.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Only.
So
Yeah,
you can
'cause
do either or.
I know sometimes I'll see like business for sale, and I'm always like, is it the property? Like again, I'm learning all commercial now.
Yeah.
So I know who to go to and who to
Uh-huh.
call, if ever I need any help.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Where do you find businesses for sale? Where's the best place?
Mostly, I would
Not for to pick up
say,
the client, but like if I'm shopping for
yeah,
business.
you're shopping, I would say Rexy or Biz by Sell.
Mhm.
Yes, heard that one.
Yeah, I would look on there. Rexy, Biz by Sell,
What's average
Google.
market, like days on market, would you say? Just depends
Oh,
too?
it depends too.
Like the
Yeah,
business on it?
if it's a restaurants are hot right now, they're selling pretty quickly,
Really?
especially if it's in a nice location. So if it's in a nice location, nice shopping center, heavy foot traffic, it's probably gonna sell really quick. I would say like within 30 to 60 days.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, especially if it's priced fairly. But if it's not, if it's overpriced or if it's in a crappy location, then it could be sitting on the market for more than a year.
Mm.
Mhm.
Have you had any crazy experiences selling to new restaurants or any
Or
businesses or the leases?
Crazy, just the clients,
The
but
clients.
other yeah, I don't think if I've had any crazy
You had any
experiences.
break-ins, like people squatting in these like commercial areas or no?
No.
No?
Yeah, actually, yes.
Really?
Yes, not a
I
business.
would think more the commercial side because it's easier to hide
I
on.
feel like this is your
Yeah.
favorite
It
question.
is. It really
Yeah,
is. Like,
this
good to
happened to me.
know.
Okay, this happened to me last month. I was in Pomona. I was in P-town, and I was it was in the hood of Pomona
Oh,
too,
man.
and I was helping a gym, and we were looking near, like, the CVS, and the
Mhm.
CVS was pretty large, like, maybe 8,000 square feet, and then they have 5,000 square feet that they weren't using. So they built a wall, and it was just a vacant space adjacent to it, and homeless people broke in from the back. So, like, I'm in there, and I'm wearing high heels,
Oh.
They
like
hear you coming.
yeah, I'm wearing high heels, and we open the door, and, like, we get in, and then we hear people in the back, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I'm nervous," and I look at my client, he's a man, and he always carries a gun with him. So, yeah, he's
He's like,
like
"Don't worry, I got this."
yeah, he did. He was like, "Don't worry, I'm strapped."
I'm
Like,
like
he's like, "Don't worry, Mariah." Like, and I'm like, "All right, I'm staying behind. Like, you can
Right.
go," because there was a bunch of stuff in there, like boxes and like
They were moved in, moved
mattresses.
in.
Yeah, there was stuff in there, and it was keeping me from seeing. I didn't have direct, like, I couldn't see my vision because I was blind, number one, but number two, there's all these obstacles where people could be hiding and I can't.
Right.
And they were doing that. So there was like homeless people living in there, and they were like doing crack and all these drugs and stuff, making it, is what my client said. I was too scared, so I stood back. But
Yeah.
he went. He saw this thing. He's like, "Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think this is gonna be the one." But yeah. So that's like
That's
the only
cool.
time that that's happened.
Do you ever find yourself liking one like commercial better than residential, or does it just depends?
That's a hard question. I really do like both. What I love about real estate is just helping the customer, helping my clients, and building a long-lasting relationship with them. But I will say that I do feel like I prefer commercial real estate. And I think the reason being is that it's more of a challenge, and I like a challenge. I really do. I like that there's so many obstacles, before we get to the finish line that I need to
Mhm.
overcome, because once I win, I feel like it's a bigger payout for me. Like
Yeah.
personally, like in my heart, I'm like, yes, I did this. Like they said
Overcame what?
no, or
Yeah.
first I had to get from here to here to here in order to get to the finish line. It took 6 months, but I'm here now, and my client's going to be successful, and I'm a little tiny reason or a little tiny part of their success, and it
It
makes
is.
me happy that they're happy and I got them what they wanted.
I
'Cause
love
I like
that.
to win. I'm competitive.
I know
You
you
know
are.
that.
I
So
do know that
I'm like,
about
"You wanna
you.
fight? That's fine."
I think we tried to play football at the beach one time or something,
Oh, did
or
we?
volleyball or something, and you're
I
like,
think
"I am winning.
so.
I am winning."
Oh,
And I'm
yeah.
like, "Oh my god,
And
this
I
girl's gonna
probably
kill
didn't
me."
win.
This little mighty tiny girl's gonna kill me.
I think we're the same height.
Yeah, we are 5'1" on a good day though.
Oh, you are?
On a good
Oh, on a
day.
good day, okay.
Good day.
I'm
Gotta have
5.
them.
I'm 5 feet.
Well, that means you guys are good. Never mind. I'm not. You're little, so you're gonna live a long time.
I live
Yeah.
a hell of a long
Hope
time.
so.
Yeah.
Mhm.
My other question, going back to the whole real estate of you helping families and stuff, on the commercial side, do you find yourself working with a lot of different personalities, meaning a lot of partners versus like family? It's
Mm.
either the husband and wife or like an individual on, on the business side? Is it
Yeah.
like 6 people sometimes or multiple
Yeah,
people?
sometimes there are, yeah. So you're right, with residential, it's mostly families. Maybe it's a couple, maybe it's one person, and that's it. It's a little bit smaller. But with commercial, there are usually multiple people. So if I'm representing a franchise, I'm also reporting to the franchisor and the franchisor's team, their commercial team or their real estate team, maybe their managers, whoever it may be. So there's usually multiple people. So I'm reporting to the franchisor's real estate development manager, maybe the real estate development manager's partner as well. And then let's say maybe there's like 2 owners. So it could be 5, 5 to 6 people. It's really depends. And I'm making sure that they all know exactly what's going on, where we are in our search, where I'm at with the negotiation, if we're getting closer to getting the lease. Then I got to send them pictures as well to make sure that the franchisors like the location as well, since they're not there with the business owners and I when we're touring. So I sent them a file and a brochure where it has all of the property details and all the photos to make sure that I have the final stamp of approval before the franchisees actually sign the lease agreement.
So it's not like an LLC, like if you have multiple people and you have that one managing member, it's only that one person that signs. This one is everyone signs?
Not everyone signs, no. It's
Okay.
just going to be the business owners that sign. But we still have to make sure that the franchisors approve of that location. I can't just put them in a location without them knowing, without them approve. Yeah.
Is there escrow or is
No.
no? So it's just like attorney or
Yes.
agent kind of a deal. And then how long does the process take? Like once you get a contract and you have to go through the steps to close? And
I'll go through the whole process with you, but I'll make it short. So, so I would say, when you're searching for the building for your client, that could take anywhere between, on the short end, the shortest I've ever done it was like 3 weeks, just pretty quick in commercial real estate. 3 weeks to find a location that worked, because there's other factors that go into it, right? Like, who's your competition? Is your competition right across the street? Because if they are, then maybe you don't want to be there.
like right here, we had EXP right across the way.
Okay.
In the courtyard right there.
Yeah, right. And then also you want to make sure that you're set up for success. When you're in a shopping center and you're a gym, not every shopping center allows for a gym to be there. So there's some CCNRs that do not allow gyms. Sometimes you need to get a CUP approval. Sometimes the landlord just doesn't want a gym because they've had bad experiences, so maybe they just don't want one. So there's multiple steps that I need to take before we even consider this as a potential location first. So that can take some time. But once we do find the location, it could take anywhere between maybe 1 to 6, 8 months to find the location. Once we find it, we send out the LOI, the letter of intent. It's an offer letter to the landlord. The landlord reviews it. He sends a counter response back a week later. And then we review it. We send our counter offer out, and then he looks at it. He sends something back. Hopefully, we can come to an agreement. I hop on a few phone calls with them. I negotiate the final terms. Then he sends us the actual lease agreement. I read it. Then my client's attorneys read it. And then once we send back our comments to the landlord, then the landlord looks at our comments and says, okay, I do agree with these revisions. I'll make them or I won't. And so now I have to negotiate again. So it depends. So by the time we find the location to actually get the lease agreement and get it signed, that process will probably take maybe a month. It could take a month.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Way more.
Yeah.
Residential for
It's a lot. Yeah. It honestly is a lot more work.
But I think it's more like you said, the terms of it, the negotiating, the commercial, the lease, because they're long terms. Us on the residential side, it's close of escrow. You just keep the relationship with your client.
Yeah.
Obviously hoping for referrals and hoping to help them and continue, to have them in your life. Commercial, you're on the terms, you're 4 years, 10 years, whatever it is. So you're constantly, on the back end renegotiating and helping them out.
Yeah. So. Well, once they're in, let's say it's a 5-year term. Once they're in, the terms of the first 5 years, those are the terms. So once they're in, they're happy, they're good for 5 years. After 5 years, if we need to help them again, then we will.
Yeah, which we're hoping you do, right?
Yes. Yes.
What's a day in the life of a commercial realtor?
Oh my goodness. A lot of negotiating, a lot of problem solving, a lot of putting out fires, a lot of reassuring people who might be afraid if it's their first time, or maybe they're nervous or they don't understand. So a lot of instilling, positivity in your client's mind, being uplifting when they're afraid. Um, I'm constantly having to explain leases to people, change things. But the good thing is that I truly enjoy it. So it's not hard. It's not a burden for me. I really like it.
Do you have a team?
I do. Yeah.
What type of people do you have on your team?
So I have a full-time assistant. She's been with me for only maybe 3 months, and then prior to her, I had another one for like a year and a half. So I have them help me find locations. So the most important things like the actual lease agreement, the terms, and negotiating, I do that 100%. But helping to find locations and set up appointments, I have my assistant do that. So I'll tell her, drop a search. Here's our territory. Here's our boundaries. Draw it up. Let me see the locations. She'll show it to me, and I'll say, okay, I think my clients are gonna like this one, this one, this one, and this one. So send an email to all of these agents, make sure they're still available, find out the asking price, and then let me know. And then when she does, then I'll tell her, okay, from here on out, we're gonna set appointments for them. So set the appointments for next week on Friday, and then she'll do that. So that alleviates a lot of work on my end. Really helpful.
Yeah, I think it's always important to have that. Like, you have to have someone help you,
Yeah.
have that team, especially on the commercial side. Like you said, it's a constant go, constant movement.
Yes.
But
Sorry, I have something in my
transitioning
eye. I'm so sorry. Like, I don't know what I have in my eye, but it's like something. Okay.
Yeah. So wrapping this up, we all wanna know, because I know all the guys always ask
Oh,
me.
no. They wanna know what?
I
I'm just
always
kidding.
get the DM, "Is your girl available?"
Oh gosh.
If
What do
I
you
post a
tell-
picture
what
with
do you
you,
tell
if
them?
I always say, "Don't ask me, ask her."
I am a global
Holidays are here,
I
gifts
know.
are really welcomed.
I am single. Yes.
Okay.
I'm very happy though. I feel like when people say they're single, some people um their perspective is, well, maybe that person's sad, or maybe there's something wrong with them, or maybe they're lonely, or whatever it might be. But I can truly say that I'm fulfilled and like I'm happy, and I'm single because I want to date the right person. I want to be with the right person, not just any person.
I
You know
love
what I
to.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not here to have a guy just fill in like a void because I don't feel void. I don't have void. Like, I'm happy. So I am dating, but am I in a relationship? No. Am I in love? No. Yeah.
I hope none of the guys you're dating are watching.
Well, you heard it live here on the podcast.
I know.
She is single.
Maybe I'll be in love in a couple months after this podcast. I don't know.
We should do like a speed date service here. That'd be fun. So speed dating here. But we're gonna wrap this up because we loved and enjoyed having you here, Julian, my co-host. And then we have Jason here on the back end helping us. We hope we hope you enjoyed our podcast as well. Please let us know what is your IG. Share it with everyone.
Yes, my Instagram is at Mariah Cosio. It's my first and last name, MariahCosio.
Awesome. So you heard it here. And then next Thursday, please join us at 2:00. We will be going live again on the main pod. So please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Do not forget the main pod.